This is Android Basics, in which we bring you up to date on the things that you should know to use your Android phone.
On to more prosaic matters, let's talk about the or some of the fixes in the April security patch. One of them, a particularly big one, Warren, this month seems to be around privileges, isn't it?
Yeah, which one are you thinking of, Ed?
Well, there's the one about privileges, the top one, or the one that looked sort of fairly critical, where it seemed that you could change privilege permissions without without the
I
user
see
being
what you mean.
aware.
There were actually two known exploits that were critical that were fixed alongside with all the other ones. So the update, though, included some 28 general security patches, for Android, and another 25 that are exclusively for Pixel devices. So altogether, you got some for regular Android devices out there that qualify for the April, and then you got some that are exclusively for the Google devices. But like I said, very critical ones. And Google believes that two vulnerabilities were actively being exploited, and those were the ones that were very important, very critical. There are also fixes related to Pixel camera app, the one I talked about earlier, and biometrics included in this April 2024 update. Google announced that the April 2024 security update is rolling out as April 2nd, so that's when it showed up for me. Sometimes it takes a while for it to show up at some other places. And this is one of those things that I'm not very happy with Google for, how it is that not all the people will see it at once. I think that Samsung actually is doing a better job here, because for Samsung, you could have the thing shows up for all the devices at once that are qualified for it. But I don't know. This is one of the areas that I think Google needs to work a little bit more on. What are you guys' thoughts about it? I've always complained about it, and probably I'm just a Bailey Acre.
Mr. Akers again. Mr. Akers back. Yeah. I mean, I always think that. I don't mind updates rolling out at a speed that the manufacturer wants to smooth it over. What I think they should always give you, though, is the ability to force a local upgrade if they do that. Like Microsoft does, or some of the phone manufacturers like OnePlus will. If you want to wait for your OTA update to arrive in the normal way, you can. But quite often, the likes of OnePlus, Microsoft do it on Windows. Obviously, you can force what in Android circles manufacturers that support this call a local update. You go download it yourself, stick the file on the root of your phone, and go launch it.
The problem, not everyone is savvy enough to be able to, download stuff and run
yeah,
stuff.
And they can wait, and they can wait because to be fair, they're probably less bothered anyway. So they probably don't mind waiting in the grand scheme of things, because not everyone needs to bother going to do that. So, but I think I'd probably do it like that. You can sort of see why you might push a rollout in case something untoward happens, or if I can't imagine it would be capacitive, but you never know. So one thing I think is always interesting about security updates on something else is the level of transparency they give you about the vulnerabilities, because obviously the vast majority of active handsets out there aren't going to get the April update. Even if you're on a Samsung A series, if it's not your quarter to get the update, then you won't. And then, everyone who sees what vulnerabilities have been fixed knows that these vulnerabilities exist on quite a lot of active phones. So, I suppose on one level, some transparency is good, but if you don't get that handset and you've broadcast what everyone else's phone problems are, then interesting.
I'm glad, we got some of these things fixed, and even Google still acknowledges that there are still some issues that have not been resolved and, would be addressed later on. Some of these things never get fixed, on time, and it takes a while, because sometimes it's hard to pinpoint what really is causing that problem. But at least these ones that were actual exploits have been fixed. And so lots of fixes in there that we're not going to go through, but we're going to put these URLs in there so you could read up on all of these things and what the fixes have been so that you know what has been fixed.